YouTube. And once again, ciao, hi, hey, hola guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video, trying to stay as comfortable as possible. I was going to record in my own room, but I think the lighting's a bit bad there, and I've got this dimmer switch which I have to be careful because I don't want it to affect the rest of the electricity or whatever, so I didn't want to take that risk. So anyway, I'm in one of my rooms which violates something which I did try and stop doing this year, which is like, I suppose it's not quite the same thing, but I was thinking this twocking, as we say here in the UK, which stands for taking without owner's consent. In this case, taking up space. One of the bad habits I'm trying not to do is like take things without consent. Well, again, in this case, space. But one of the things I want to cover is a bit controversial or whatever. I thought I didn't want my mum to hear me say it or her partner, so I came up to this. As I say, I was going to do it in my own room, but my eyes were sort of feeling a bit sore, and so I think the lighting there didn't seem that great, so I thought I'd come in here. So, nice light surrounding. But anyway, these are pointers number 21 to 30. I hope my sister will forgive me for using her room without permission. Yeah, it's taken me a while to avoid procrastination, checking up all this news, scary stuff that's going on in the world, including a potential new flare-up between China and Taiwan. I hope that that can be resolved before it turns to a conflict. I love, in April, May and June, I hope to talk about this, but and maybe part of August as well. I try and save the Asian empowerment stuff for April, May, June, and possibly August. But this unforeseen circumstance came along, so as it often happens. So maybe I should be a bit more flexible, versatile, or whatever. But I'd love for there to be an Asian alliance or an Asian union, which I've talked about in the past, which I would love to somehow bring Asian nations together and prevent conflicts like the ones going on, especially a potential one between China and Taiwan, or and Japan, North Korea and South Korea, and other Asian nations, North Korea and Japan, for instance, or whatever. I mean, heaven forbid there's a potential flare-up between China, which could take North Korea's side, I guess, and Japan could take South Korea's side. Heaven forbid. I hope somehow those are prevented as much as possible. And I hope to come to, I was going to say something about, I'll probably say that in the list. Yeah, I'd love for there to be an Asian Union which somehow prevents wars, an Asian alliance which would promote Pan-Asianism. I sometimes call it a Pan-Asian alliance, but I think it would be cool to be called the M.K.S Asian Alliance, and then as a part of the description, a subheading perhaps would be like a Pan-Asian alliance. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. My shoulders turn again, but here goes. These are pointers number 21 to 30, and here goes. So number 21. I hope to remember what I was thinking of earlier. I had a few ideas, and coincidentally, and rather disappointingly, and sadly, I've forgotten some of the things I was going to say. But ironically, like 21 again. Sorry. But I'd love for, I should have remembered as I was drinking my tea, I would love for, that's a bad habit, I drink my sleep. But anyway, sorry. I'd love to learn more about, and for people to learn more about the history of mixed race people and our experiences, and help mixed race people to share our experiences, like having like mixed race views and things like where we share our views, and like mixed messages where we share our experiences and lobby together and things like that. I talked about in part 2, and possibly in part 1 about like mixed messages, but an aim I have for like a mixed race lobby group, but it could also be for mixed race people to share our experiences as well as our ideas and things like that. So giving mixed race people a voice, but also I almost forgot again to say. So it's not working as usual, but to remember our train of thoughts, to have like documentaries about mixed race people, especially made by mixed race people ourselves, including some of the older generations who might have lived through many experiences, but also younger people as well, and looking at how things have changed and that kind of thing. And I'd love for Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians to do documentaries about our experiences and the history of like Anglo-Indians, Kristangs, Indos, and other Eurasian groups, and similar for Blasians. I'd love for Blasians to support Egypt as well, but yeah, so maybe to do those documentaries mainly in Egypt, but yeah, to make our own movies, music, and things. I know there's already some musicians who talk about being mixed race, but sharing each other's ideas and helping each other's projects. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to move on to point number 22. So yeah, I'd love for us to work together on movies, music, and look at how things have changed, how things could change, supporting each other in different projects and different areas, supporting mixed race models, musicians, movie producers, directors, movie stars, entrepreneurs, ideas people, and all sorts of people from mixed race community, and look at like what we can learn from each other, how we can support each other, and maybe fund each other and things like that. And also working with other groups. I was going to say it's in point number 21, but I thought the point was going on a bit too long, so I thought I'd move on to point number 22. But I'd love for us to work with like Black, Asian, Native American, Latino, Hispanic, and maybe Jewish and other communities to work together on supporting minority-owned businesses and women and disabled people and disadvantaged or marginalised or whatever term you want to use, people who have been historically discriminated against and disadvantaged and that kind of thing, and also to challenge hatred and white supremacy and that kind of thing, and extremism, even Islamic extremism and all sorts of prejudice and things like that, and terrorism and things like that, and to promote a more peaceful world, which I talked about. Again, I was going to say in point number 21 to recap some of what I talked about in parts 1 and 2. Obviously, people are free to check that out. But I'd love to see what we can achieve in the future. And when it comes to Black and Asian people, Black, Asian, mixed race, Native American, Latino, Hispanic, and basically minority people, I think should work together to challenge the military. Like, well, when I say challenge the military, challenge any forced conscription and things like that, to say we refuse to fight this war. I'm thinking of different videos like Corey Holcomb, I think it is, a comedian. Don't know a huge amount about him, but I do agree with his video about why Black people shouldn't join the military. There's other, so like the like Philip Scott, the African Diaspora channel, Go Black to Africa channel called Go Black to Africa, and many others which talked about like why they should stay out of these conflicts, and like how both or all these groups discriminate against them. Like somewhat like the channel, the person who runs Go Black to Africa, I don't know his name, but I know his channel's name. But he talked about like how both Jewish and Arabic people enslaved Black people in the past, but also you could say about how they've been treated in America and Britain and elsewhere. So I hope POC manage to lobby together and hold the line and say we're not going to fight these wars. Will be the peace we want to see, hopefully, which I'm sure most people want to see, and won't fight for these elite people, especially when we suffer discrimination. Like all those who say go back to your own country, we should blame them, and also the treatment we've had in the past, and like also just saying we want to support peace and we don't want to fight other POC or people or each other or whatever, and also like saying like send. I suppose here in Britain they say they don't exist anymore, but like the EDL or whatever they might go under now, whatever name, like the BNP, the NF, National Front, or whatever, all these different racist groups, extremist groups, or whatever, if you like. I think we could say that let them go to war, let them go on the front lines, in my opinion. But as I say, these videos are about my own views, opinions, dreams, and whatnot. Please feel free to agree or disagree as you see fit. Yeah, I'd love to see how we can make documentaries and music and poetry, art, writing, and things like that about being mixed race and share our experiences and be diplomats and things like that, and maybe come to that in more details a bit later. Hope I don't forget anything, but I'm going to move on to point number, again, I should probably say that point number 21, but I was struggling to get to my chain of thought. Point number 23, I talked about how I'd love to support mixed race entrepreneurs, what's to become and celebrate and find out about and celebrate maybe like mixed race millionaires, and even billionaires, biracial billionaires and whatnot, mixed race or biracial or whatever term you want to use. I use those terms interchangeably, but given my use of alliterations like mixed race billionaires and biracial billionaires and whatnot, and maybe even triracial trillionaires, but in the future. But actually, I would love for us to give our money away. Like all this money being spent on war. Another point I was going to mention, which is little bit off topic in terms of it's not specifically on mixed race, but I do believe it's something mixed race people should support along with other minorities and peace groups. I'd love for us to be the most peace-loving group and charitable group in the world. So even if we had sugar mummies and sugar daddies, I think that we should give away all the money that I take things literally. I won't say all our money away because obviously we need a certain amount to live on, but I think we should. I know I'm a hoarder, so I don't know if I could say be a minimalist, but get by on the bare minimal, as in like have a roof over our head, enough to eat, enough to drink, and things like that. And the rest, I think we should give away, in my opinion. But that would be up to the individual, as I talked about before. And another thing I was going to mention in point of 21 side, as in about not getting piercings or tattoos or changing our natural body and things like that. But I'd love for us to be philanthropists. I talked before again about. Once again, another thing I talked about basically is about how there's bits in religion which I do agree with, and there's bits I don't agree with. Sometimes I find religion really bossy, or there's things about it that I don't really like. Generally, especially like the rules and laws and things like that. But I do like how it teaches us. Many religions, like especially Christianity and Islam or whatnot, teach us to be charitable and care for others. And that's the thing, these wars, even by so-called Muslims and so-called Christians or whatever, I don't know whether they are or not, but they cost so much money and they're costing lives, and we're destroying things rather than building things. I think we should build things rather than destroy them. I know I'm a hoarder, but that's one of the things. I love to keep things, and I don't like to waste things. I guess that's why I'm a hoarder as well, but as well as perhaps one or two other things. I mean. But yeah, I think like build all these buildings that would have to be rebuilt, hopefully, maybe be rebuilt, but they're going to have to be rebuilt and things like in Dubai and places like that. They get to rebuild and build their economy. But countries like Dubai. But yeah, we could be spending that money on healthcare, education, teaching, training, food, shelter, clean water, and all those sorts of things. And I think that's what mixed race and maybe even other POC should do together. What about you? Agree with me? I'd love to know what you think. Hopefully it won't be too harsh, as I say at the end of my last video, but I know I'm struggling to get to the point. But yeah, I'd love for us to be philanthropists basically, and like I talked about like mixed race millionaires and even